You know that feeling when you're shopping an F-150 and you tell yourself, I'm just picking an engine? And then 5 years later, you realize you weren't picking an engine at all. You were picking a maintenance personality. You were picking a repair ecosystem. You were picking whether your truck is going to nickel and dime you or hit you with one of those bills that makes you stare at the quote like it's written in another language. Because the 5.0 versus 3.5 EcoBoost debate isn't really about power. It's about what happens after the honeymoon phase, towing weekends, heat cycles, cold starts, and that one moment you hear a noise you've never heard before. And your brain immediately goes, no, please no. And here's what Ford just exposed. Again, not with a press release, not with a "we were wrong" headline. Ford exposes this stuff the same way they always do, through the paper trail. The service procedures, the revised parts, the "here's the official fix" documents that only exist when the same complaint keeps showing up. So tonight I'm going to walk you through three things. What people think they're buying when they choose 3.5 or 5.0. What they're actually buying over 5 years. And the simple rule that makes the right choice obvious for your life. Because this isn't about which engine wins on a spec sheet. This is about whether your truck feels like a reliable tool or a very expensive science project. Let's start with how these two engines make power, simplified, because the mechanism is the entire story. The 5.0 is the classic recipe, a naturally aspirated V8. Air comes in, fuel mixes, spark lights it, and the engine makes power based on displacement and RPM. There are still modern systems here, variable cam timing, modern fueling, emissions hardware. But the core concept is simple. You're not depending on extra pressure from a turbocharger to hit your torque. The 3.5 EcoBoost is a different philosophy. It's a smaller engine that uses turbochargers to cram more air into the cylinders. More air means you can burn more fuel, and more fuel means more torque, especially down low. That's why it feels like it's cheating. You touch the pedal and it just goes, even with weight behind it. And that's exactly why people fall in love with it on day one. But here's the trade. Nobody wants to say out loud, turbo power is a bargain you pay back in complexity. Not always, not every truck, not every owner, but over 5 years, your costs don't come from the engine exploded. Your costs come from the reality that the 3.5 is running hotter, denser, and more complicated. More parts, more plumbing, more controls, more opportunities for one small problem to turn into a big diagnosis. And Ford has basically told us over and over where the pain points live, not by admitting it in public, but by quietly standardizing what technicians do when owners complain about the same symptoms. So let's talk about the real villain, the stuff that is common enough to become a thing. If you've been around these trucks, you already know the big phrase on the 3.5 side, that cold start rattle. The one that sounds like your truck is angry for a second. Some guys ignore it, some guys sell the truck, some guys chase it, and the chase is where the money starts. Because the worst part about that kind of problem is it doesn't always leave you stranded, it just lives in your head. And when you finally decide you're not living like that anymore, the real fix is not spray something or reset something. The real fix tends to be labor-heavy. It's the kind of job where half the cost is simply the privilege of getting to the parts. That's the EcoBoost pattern in a nutshell. It's not that it's guaranteed to fail. It's that when it needs real work, you're paying for access and complexity. Now add the second EcoBoost reality, Turbo World. 2 turbos, intercooler, charge pipes, wastegates, lines, sensors, extra heat management, more things that can develop a leak, a rattle, a sticking actuator, or a weird drivability issue that turns your truck into "it only happens sometimes," which is the most expensive sentence in the English language. And then there's the towing side, because towing is where the 3.5 is both amazing and brutally honest. It will tow like a monster. It will also spend more time under boost doing it, which means more heat and more pressure through the system. Again, not bad, just physics. Now compare that to the 5.0 experience. The 5.0 doesn't feel like a cheat code. It feels like a truck engine. It builds power as it revs. It sounds right. It's predictable. And most importantly for the 5-year question, it's a simpler power path. No turbos, no boost plumbing, no intercooler system living its own life. And that simplicity shows up where it matters most, out-of-warranty repair exposure. Now, before the V8 crowd starts clapping like this is a pep rally, the 5.0 has its own reputation conversations. Some years have oil consumption debates. Some owners notice startup noises and immediately spiral. Some people have had annoying issues that feel unacceptable for a modern truck. The difference is not the 5.0 is perfect. The difference is that the 5.0's common ownership stress for most people is less likely to funnel into a single, labor-heavy, high-complexity repair event. Over 5 years, the 5.0 tends to punish you in smaller ways. The 3.5, when it decides to punish you, tends to do it in fewer, more expensive punches. That's the entire 5-year math. Now let's talk fuel, because this is where people get tricked by the wrong kind of data. Yes, the 3.5 can put up nice MPG numbers in the right conditions. Highway cruising, light load, steady throttle. Turbo engines can look great on paper because they're not always in boost. But the second you drive it like a truck, towing, hauling, stop and go, big tires, hills, that advantage shrinks fast because boost equals fuel. You're literally injecting more fuel to match the extra air. So here's a realistic way to think about it. Over 5 years, say you drive 15,000 miles a year. That's 75,000 miles. If one engine averages, let's say, 18 miles per gallon in your real life, and the other averages 20 miles per gallon, that sounds huge on the internet. In dollars? At around $3.50 a gallon, that's roughly a $1,400 to $1,500 difference over 5 years. That's it. One mid-4-figure repair erases your fuel advantage, like it never existed. That's why the 5-year cost isn't close for certain owners, not because gas doesn't matter, because it does, but because one engine is more likely to make you pay in repairs what you saved in fuel. Now, let's get brutally practical. What are you actually paying for in 5 years? You're paying for maintenance, oil changes, filters, fluids, tires. That stuff is boring and roughly similar either way. You're paying for wear items, spark plugs, coils sometimes, seals, sensors. Modern engines are sensor cities. That's life. And then you're paying for events. The 5-year story is the event probability multiplied by event cost. That's the formula nobody argues with because it's not emotional. So ask yourself, which engine has more expensive events? On the 3.5 side, the expensive events tend to cluster around turbo/boost systems and timing/VCT style work. Even when the truck still runs, you're often paying for labor and teardown. On the 5.0 side, the expensive events exist too, but the engine is less dependent on a whole parallel system, boost hardware, to make the power you bought it for. That's why owners who keep trucks longer tend to drift toward the V8. Not because they hate turbos, because they hate surprise. Now, I want to say something that's going to save you thousands if you actually listen. The right engine depends less on the internet and more on how you use your truck. So I'm going to split you into 3 buckets. If you know which bucket you're in, the answer becomes obvious. Bucket 1. You lease or trade every 2 to 3 years. If you're living under warranty and you love how the 3.5 drives and tows, it's hard to argue against it. You get the best part of turbo power, the torque, the effortless pulling, and you're less exposed to the out-of-warranty bill that makes the 5-year math ugly. Bucket 2. You keep trucks around 5 years, maybe a little longer. This is the danger zone where the engine choice matters most, because this is when warranty fades and real life begins. If you're that owner, you need to decide what you fear more: paying a little more for fuel and getting simpler ownership, or taking on higher complexity because you love the way the 3.5 performs. Bucket 3. You keep trucks forever. If you're the "I'm running this thing to 150,000, 200,000 until the wheels fall off" type, you should be obsessed with repair exposure and simplicity. Not because the 3.5 can't do it, because it can, but because the long-run cost curve tends to favor the simpler power path. And here's the part Ford exposed that nobody says out loud. The engine that has the bigger, more standardized fix culture around certain symptoms is the one that generates the bigger out-of-warranty anxiety. Because if enough owners complain about the same noise, the same behavior, the same condition, the company eventually creates an official way to deal with it. That doesn't mean the engine is trash. It means the problem is common enough that it's a known story. Now, let's talk about what this looks like in real ownership decisions. If you're the guy who tows heavy a few times a year, lives in a flat area, doesn't tune, does normal maintenance, and wants strong daily drivability, you can absolutely run a 3.5 and be happy. But if you're the guy who tows often, lives in heat, drives hills, does lots of short trips, or plans to keep the truck past warranty, you're stacking the deck toward event risk, and the 5-year cost difference starts leaning hard. Because the EcoBoost doesn't have to blow up to get expensive. It just has to develop one of those issues where the fix involves a lot of labor, a lot of parts, and a lot of "while we're in there." Whereas the 5.0, for many owners, stays boring longer. And boring is the whole goal. So here's the simplest way to choose, and I want you to remember this. If you want the best chance at a quiet 5-year ownership bill, pick the engine with fewer high-dollar pathways. That's usually the 5.0. If you want the strongest low-end torque feel, tow performance feel, and you're okay accepting turbo complexity, or you plan to stay under warranty, pick the 3.5. But don't tell yourself the story that you're saving tons of money on fuel, and therefore it balances out. It doesn't balance out when one repair wipes the fuel savings. Now let's land this with an actual playbook, because this is what you do with this information. If you're shopping used and you're considering a 3.5, your number one job is to buy a truck with a clean history and a clean feel. Stop arguing about which engine is better and start driving like an adult with a 5-year horizon. Do the fluids on time. Use the right oil. Don't ignore changes in behavior. Don't wait until something becomes a story. Because the people who get destroyed by ownership cost are rarely the ones who picked the wrong engine. They're the ones who ignored the early warning signs until the only remaining fix was the expensive one. So here's what I want you to comment, because it decides the whole debate. How long do you keep your trucks? 2 years? 5 years? Or 10? Because once you answer that honestly, the 5.0 versus 3.5 argument stops being emotional and starts being math.